Final project. What makes Venezuela interesting from an architectural perspective? In this presentation, I'm going to talk about what makes Venezuela interesting from an architectural perspective through some of the concepts we learned during the course, using references located in its capital city, Caracas. Caracas is the capital and largest city of Venezuela, and it is located in the northern part of the country. The city is located in a valley on the Venezuelan coastal mountain range, Cordillera de la Costa, next to Cerro Avila. But being surrounded by hills and mountains hasn't been an excuse for not building outside the plain area. In fact, architects and engineers have managed to design and make constructions over the sloping grounds, defy gravity, and build wonderful things. Having said that, we can now start to talk about specific elements of architecture that can be seen in Caracas. Color. In the picture shown, we can see a street in El Hatillo, one of the few well-preserved colonial towns in the city. The walls of all the houses we see are painted in a different color, giving the town vitality and making it attractive. These houses can be really considered a great example of architecture, but there is something interesting about the combination of all those different facades and colors that make the small town unique. Light. Now we travel to one of the greatest landmarks in our country, the UCV, Universidad Central de Venezuela, designed by Carlos Raúl Villanueva. It is important to mention that, given the complexity of its campus, various buildings in the UCV will be used as examples to explain the concepts of architecture that the project requires. The picture we see was taken in the Plaza Cubierta, the heart of the UCV, in which we can see how the architect lets the sunlight illuminate certain spots through an open ceiling, emphasizing in this case artwork that is located throughout it. Also, there is an effect produced by the reflection of the sunlight on the shiny floor, making the space brighter during daytime. Texture. Textures can be rough or smooth, visual or tactile, and the combination of them can turn out to be good or not. For example, the Alcaldía de Baruta shows how different textures can be used when designing a building in a complementary way. In its exterior, we can see smooth surfaces like glass and concrete walls, a metallic panel with horizontal lines, and a rougher facade that features brick. Personally, I'm not so fond of the use of brick with all the other surfaces, but when the building is seen in context, we notice that the brick is used towards the more neglected surroundings, an old plaza with ugly and uncared-for buildings, and the metal is used towards the new modern plaza, meaning that the architect tried to adapt the building to the context. Acoustics. In the picture, we see the inside of the Aula Magna, the auditorium located in the UCV. This has been catalogued as one of the 5 auditoriums with best acoustics, which is achieved by the floating clouds hanged on the ceiling, being the perfect combination of technology and art. Rhythm. Rhythm can be often related to older constructions, such as the one in the picture, which is the Palacio de las Academias. We can clearly see a repetition of shapes and colors separated by equal distances, making it a homogeneous facade. Modern architecture does not frequently use this type of obvious rhythms, but there is always a certain pattern that helps the design have a better and coherent aspect. Vertical and horizontal circulation. As I said before, the UCV has always been a clear example of any aspect of architecture. Circulation is one of the strongest elements the UCV has, thanks to the strategic and masterful use of ramps, hallways, and stairs throughout the campus. For example, one of the highest buildings is the UCV is the Architecture and Urban Planning faculty, which features vertical circulation models that can be easily recognized from the outside because of the shape and the change of material that covers them, and horizontal circulation that is moderated by changes of ceiling heights and ramps that emphasize important spaces in the building, such as the auditorium and the library. Spaces and scale. In this picture of the Centro San Ignacio, we can see this huge space that even if we are standing at the bottom on one of the platforms or moving through the stairs, it still manages to make us feel like we are standing in the same space. Having the human scale reference in the picture can make us understand better the dimensions of this huge atrium that contains a lot of architectural resources that complement each other. After analyzing all these concepts, we can conclude that, even though Caracas is not the most modern city in the world, there are still great and emblematic works of architecture that define our city, and even if it is surrounded by a lot of informal housing and uncared streets and buildings, if we pay more attention, we'll see that Caracas is a city that combines the beauty of the past with modern architecture, and most importantly, it always goes hand by hand with our tropical environment.